In 1911, London was shaken by the mysterious death of Eliza Mary Barrow. At the centre stood Frederick Henry Seddon, a man whose greed and arsenic poisoning would lead to one of Edwardian Britain's most infamous trials. Hello, welcome to Cold Case UK. In the summer of 1910, a woman named Eliza Mary Barrow moved into the upper floor of a house at 63 Tollington Park, Islington, London. She was 49 years old. She was unmarried. She was described by those who knew her as eccentric, difficult, and deeply suspicious of banks and financial institutions. She kept her money close. At the time she moved in, her total assets amounted to approximately £4,000 in cash, gold, stocks, and property. It was a considerable sum. The man who owned the house at 63 Tollington Park was Frederick Henry Seddon. Frederick Henry Seddon was born on 21st January 1872 in Liverpool, Lancashire. His father was William Seddon, and his mother was Mary Ann, whose maiden name was Kennan. He was raised in Liverpool and grew into a sharp, ambitious, and obsessively frugal man. Those who knew him described him as pompous, dogmatic, and intolerant of other people's opinions, but also energetic, organized, and capable. On 31st December 1893, Seddon married Margaret Ann Jones at St George's Church in Everton, Lancashire. Together they had 5 children: William James, born 1894, Margaret, born 1896, Frederick Henry Jr., born 1897, Ada, born 1905, and Lillian Louisa Agnes Emma, born 1911. Seddon's elderly father also lived with them. In 1909, the family moved to London. Seddon purchased a large 14-room house at 63 Tollington Park, near Finsbury Park, Islington. He worked as District Superintendent of Collectors for the London and Manchester Industrial Insurance Company. He also ran a second-hand clothes business in his wife's name, speculated in property, and let out rooms in his house to supplement his income. Money was the central preoccupation of his life. In July 1910, Eliza Mary Barrow, along with a 10-year-old orphaned boy in her care named Ernest Grant, moved into the upper floor of the Seddon house as lodgers. Eliza Barrow was not an easy woman to live with. She was argumentative, untidy, and had fallen out with the cousins she had been previously living with, Frank and Albert von der Ahe. But she was wealthy, and Seddon saw that immediately. Within months of her arrival, Seddon had cultivated a close financial relationship with Barrow. He made himself her trusted advisor. He showed her the large sums of money that came in from his insurance collectors, impressing her with his apparent financial competence. Her confidence in him grew. She brought her financial difficulties to him. She accepted his advice on her estate. In 1910 and 1911, Barrow signed over to Seddon a controlling interest in all her financial assets. This included £1,500 of India stock. She also transferred the lease on a barber's shop and a public house in Leighton, Essex. In return, Seddon agreed to provide her with an annuity of £3 per week for the rest of her life, and to allow her and Ernest Grant to continue living in his house rent-free. Seddon now controlled Barrow's entire estate. As long as she lived, he was obligated to pay her £3 a week from his own pocket. Every week she remained alive, he was out of pocket. Every week she died sooner than expected, the more money he stood to keep. In August 1911, the Seddon family and Barrow went on holiday together to Southend-on-Sea, Essex. On their return in late August, Seddon's daughter Margaret, known as Maggie, was sent to Walter Thorley's stationer's shop at 27 Crouch Hill to purchase a packet of Mather's arsenical flypapers. Each sheet was impregnated with approximately 4 grains of arsenic trioxide. The flypapers were placed in Eliza Barrow's room, ostensibly to keep away the flies. On 1st September 1911, Eliza Barrow complained of stomach cramps, diarrhea and vomiting. A local doctor, Dr. Henry Swan, was called. He diagnosed epidemic diarrhea, which was circulating in the area at the time. He prescribed bismuth and morphine. Barrow's condition deteriorated over the following days. She was confined to her room. She refused to go to hospital. On 13 September 1911, weak and gravely ill, she made a will. The will was dictated by Seddon and witnessed by members of his family. Under its terms, Seddon was named executor of her estate and guardian of Ernest Grant. At 6:25 in the morning of 14 September 1911, Eliza Mary Barrow died. She was attended at the moment of death by Margaret Seddon. The local doctor, Dr. Swan, issued a death certificate without examining the body, recording the cause of death as epidemic diarrhea. Seddon moved quickly. He arranged the funeral himself that same day. Despite the fact that Barrow's family had a vault in Islington Cemetery, Seddon arranged a pauper's burial in an unmarked plot. He paid a discounted rate of the undertaker's lowest price. He did not notify Barrow's cousins, the von der Rays. When Frank von der Rahe eventually learned of his cousin's death and arrived at the house to inquire about her estate, Seddon informed him that nothing remained. Under the annuity arrangement, all of Barrow's assets had legally passed to Seddon. Von der Rahe found Seddon's answers evasive and unsatisfactory. He and his family went to the police. Barrow's body was exhumed on 15th November 1911 from Islington Cemetery. The post-mortem examination was carried out by Home Office pathologist Bernard Spilsbury, assisted by senior analyst Sir William Wilcox. Despite being buried for 2 months, the body was found to be unusually well preserved. Spilsbury and Wilcox found approximately 2 grains of arsenic in the body. This was consistent with acute arsenic poisoning. Spilsbury and Wilcox concluded that Barrow had not died of epidemic diarrhea. She had been poisoned with arsenic. The prosecution theory was that the arsenic had been extracted from the flypapers by soaking them in water and then administered to Barrow, most likely mixed into the Valentine's meat juice drink that her doctor had prescribed. On 4th December 1911, Frederick Seddon was arrested at his home and charged with the murder of Eliza Mary Barrow. He was reportedly calm upon arrest and immediately began asking police questions about the nature of the poison and whether it might have been self-administered. On 15th January 1912, Margaret Seddon was also arrested and charged jointly with her husband. The trial of Frederick and Margaret Seddon opened on 4th March 1912 at the Central Criminal Court, the Old Bailey in London. The presiding judge was Mr. Justice Bucknell. The prosecution was led by the Attorney General, Sir Rufus Isaacs. The defence was led by Sir Edward Marshall Hall. Against the advice of his defence counsel, Seddon insisted on giving evidence in his own defence. His performance in the witness box was widely regarded as catastrophically damaging to his case. He was arrogant, condescending, and evasive. He appeared entirely without remorse. When asked about the flypapers found in Barrow's room, he claimed that Barrow might have drunk water from the dishes in which the flypapers had been soaking. He made detailed calculations about Barrow's life expectancy during his testimony, noting that as an insurance man he would not have recommended her as a life to insure. His demeanour alienated the jury entirely. Margaret Seddon also gave evidence. She denied any involvement in her lodger's death. The jury deliberated for just 1 hour. On 14th March 1912, they returned a verdict of guilty against Frederick Seddon. Margaret Seddon was acquitted. At the point of sentencing, a remarkable exchange took place in the courtroom. The judge, Mr. Justice Bucknell, and Seddon were both Freemasons. Seddon made a Masonic appeal to the judge as he was sentenced, making Masonic signs and invoking the Brotherhood. The judge was visibly moved, but composed himself and replied that he too was a member of the Brotherhood, and that it was all the more painful to him to have to sentence Seddon to death. He then pronounced the death sentence. Frederick Henry Seddon was hanged on 18th April 1912 at Pentonville Prison, London. He was 40 years old. The executioner was John Ellis. Margaret Seddon, acquitted of the murder, went on to remarry. According to sources, she later sold conflicting accounts of the case to the press. Eliza Mary Barrow was 49 years old when she died on 14th September 1911 at 63 Tollington Park, Islington, London. She was eccentric. She was difficult. She was suspicious of the very institutions that might have protected her money. She placed her trust in the one man who saw her not as a person but as an asset to be liquidated. Frederick Henry Seddon was described by one legal commentator as the single meanest murderer in the history of poisoning. He did not kill out of rage or passion. He killed out of greed. He calculated the value of Eliza Barrow's life against the cost of her annuity and decided she was worth more to him dead than alive. The case helped establish Bernard Spilsbury as the leading forensic pathologist in Britain, a reputation he had first begun to build in the Harvey Crippen case the previous year. It also cemented the reputation of Sir William Wilcox as a toxicologist of the first order. Eliza Mary Barrow trusted the wrong man. She signed over everything she had to a man who then arranged her burial in an unmarked pauper's grave and haggled over the price. Frederick Henry Seddon was hanged for it. He protested his innocence to the end. Hello everyone, thank you for listening, and drop any feedback below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I hope to see you again in the next case, right here on Cold Case UK.